My name's John Buhay. I work for U.S. Armament Corporation out of Ephrata, Pennsylvania. We are a licensed manufacturer for Colt. We build this gun for Colt. It's a reproduction of the 1877 Bulldog Gatlin gun. In 1877, Colt made 17 of this gun, and they all went out west during the Indian Wars. It has a lot of innovative features in that it was the first small compact Gatling gun that Colt made. It was the first Gatling gun that they made where they encased the receiver around the barrels. Most of them you can see the exposed barrels. This one is encased. It was the first time that they moved the crank from the side of the gun to the rear of the gun. And they did that for two reasons. It took away the gear train, which was always a maintenance problem, and it increased the rate of fire because the crank is now on the main shaft of the gun. It increased it by about 60%. It was also the first Gatling gun that they made. You could crank it one direction to fire the gun. If you got a jam, you cranked it backwards to clear the jam. Previous guns, you had to disassemble the whole back of the gun to do that. All those guns went out west during the Indian Wars. They were actually too late out there to fight the Indian Wars, so they came back east and they were sold to civilian police departments. The 1877 Bulldog, some of them went to New York, some of them went to Boston in the police departments. During the late 1800s, this Gatling gun was the only one that was ever fired on civilians in this country, and that was during the newspaper riots in New York in the late 1800s, and they used them to disperse the crowds. He fired over their heads. They didn't actually fire at the crowd. That's a nice little piece of history about this particular model. This particular gun is a 10-barreled version. In 1877, Colt also made 5 additional guns in 10 barrels like this. The ones that were made for our country only had 5 barrels. The 10-barrel ones were all under contract to the Chinese government, and they went to China. One of them came back to this country and is in a private collection now. And that's why we've done the 10-barrel version at this point. There are no other ones available. It's exactly the same as the 5-barrel, just a matter of putting 5 additional barrels in there, and the rate of fire is tremendous on this gun. You can get around 1,300 rounds a minute out of this gun. However, the person loading it can't keep up to that. So for very short periods of time you can do that, but this gun will only fire as fast as the loader can keep up to it. I'll take the loading mechanism off, or the feed mechanism, and we'll show you the inside of the gun now. Okay, I'm going to take the feed unit off, and we'll open the hopper up. What happens when this gun is in firing is a round will come into this rotor and drop right in this section right here. And as I rotate it, there's a cylindrical cam back in here, and that makes the bolts go back and forth. So as I rotate it, you'll see the bolt coming forward. That puts a round into the chamber. When it comes around, it'll fire in its proper position, and then as it comes around, it'll extract the bolt around here, and most times they'll fall off on their own weight. If they don't, there's a small piece here called an ejector knife that will actually catch the round off the bolt and push it out. And that happens 10 times each revolution. That fires the gun 10 times. What this actually is that's actually 10 guns mounted in here that rotate around that main shaft. Each bolt or each barrel has its own bolt.
Ooh, that's cool.